Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the GSL-English podcast. My name is Gideon, and I am here, as always, every week to help you learn English. And in today's podcast, we are going to learn English through looking at one of my favorite musical artists of all time. We are going to be learning English with the help of the one and only Mr. Frank Sinatra. So today's podcast, we're not going to hang around. We're going to get straight into the subject. We are firstly going to just do a brief summary of who Frank Sinatra was. We'll learn some new vocabulary together. And then we are going to listen and look at the lyrics to, in my opinion, his best song. We're going to go through the lyrics, we're going to go through the song and see what we can learn about the English language through Mr. Frank Sinatra. So I hope you enjoy this podcast today. If you are watching on YouTube, as always, I give you a wave. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I give you an audible how do you do. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a like and say whatever you want in the comments. Or you can always send me an email at gslenglish1@gmail.com. So let's get into today's lesson. So who was Frank Sinatra? Maybe you are familiar with the name. I sincerely hope so, but maybe he's new to you. Or maybe you've heard of the name, but you don't know anything about him. So who was Frank Sinatra? Well, Frank Sinatra was an American singer and actor who lived from 1915 to 1998. So I was 8 years old when he passed away. Yeah, wow. He is widely regarded as one of the most popular entertainers of the 20th century. And his influence on music and culture is still felt today. So he is widely regarded as one of the most popular entertainers, basically, of all time. And when it says that he is widely regarded, basically saying that most commonly accepted. You know, on a worldwide scale, most people say that he was one of the most popular entertainers. But what was Frank Sinatra known for? Well, there's a little picture of him there. But what was he known for? Well, he was, of course, mainly known for his singing. Sinatra had a unique and expressive voice. So it was different, one of a kind. It wasn't like anyone else. It showed emotion. It expressed feeling. And he used this voice to deliver classic songs that you might remember, like My Way, Fly Me to the Moon, and New York, New York. He was known for his phrasing, so his sentence structures and the way he worded things. His timing. So his timing in singing, as you will see as we go through the song, the pauses were perfect. He would introduce notes just perfectly. And he was also known for his ability to connect with his audience. Like many artists throughout this time, they had an incredible connection with their audience. Elvis is another brilliant example. But he was also known for his acting. Sinatra also had a successful career in film. He won Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor in From Here to Eternity, which is one of his films. I haven't seen it. From Here to Eternity. And of course, if something is eternal, it lasts forever. But he starred in many other classic films, such as The Manchurian Candidate and the original Ocean's 11. You might have seen the newer version, I think, with George Clooney. But he was very well known for his Rat Pack connections. And Rat Pack was a group of entertainers. And Sinatra was a member of that group. And they were known for their cool, chilled style and their association with Las Vegas. Other members of the Rat Pack included Dean Martin. You might recognize that name. Sammy Davis Jr., and Peter Lawford. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the notes as I'm going through. So I encourage you to check out some of these artists. Dean Martin in particular, beautiful singer. A very different style to Sinatra, but still absolutely stunning. But what about his personal life? Well, Sinatra's personal life was often in the headlines. Everybody wanted to know about what was going on in Sinatra's life. He was married 4 times, and he had relationships with many other famous women, including Ava Gardner and Mia Farrow. He was also known for his association with gangsters and politicians. So Frank Sinatra certainly was a character. Not always remembered for the best of reasons, but, you can see why he was such a figure, such an important point of entertainment in his time, because it wasn't just his singing, it was his personal life and social life that also caught the attention of millions. But Sinatra's legacy is truly immense, and by legacy it's what he left behind, what we're looking at today. And by immense we mean incredible, huge. He is considered one of the greatest singers of all time, and his music continues to be popular today amongst so many generations. Got to listen to Sinatra. He was also a major cultural icon. His style and persona continue to inspire people around the world today. His persona, his personality, the character of Frank Sinatra, if you will, is still impersonated today. And it inspires people. He's an inspiration. Inspiring meaning motivates somebody to action. So we see here that Frank Sinatra, throughout the years, has played a very important role, not just in music, but also socially, and kind of the way people like to entertain today. A lot of it is in imitation of Frank Sinatra. So there's a little summary of who he is, who he was. But let's dive into one of his greatest songs of all time now. Okay, so the song that we are going to look at today is called That's Life. Now, love this song. It's one of my favourite songs, and don't we say that sometimes? When something happens that we don't understand or we didn't see coming, we just say, that's life. And that's what Frankie Boy is saying. The song's all about life. Sometimes you don't have reasons, but it's all in our own attitude. So let's start with the song. It's going to take it line by line and simply enjoy the song. Now, we'll just listen to the intro and just taking the master that is Frank Sinatra. Oh, I love that sound. So smooth. I instantly feel cool.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.
Okay, so he starts off with that statement. Like we said, that's life. Got the backing vocals, that's life. He said, that's what all the people say. Isn't that true? Isn't that what we all say? Sometimes our answer is simply, oh, that's life. And he says, you're riding high in April. If we're riding high, things are going well. Maybe we're making a bit of money at work, getting a bit of success. Family life is good. Whatever riding high means to us, it just means we are going through a good time. It's positive. We're up in the clouds. Everything is good. We're happy. But then often what happens? Like that, we're shot down. And Frank here suggests, we're shot down in May. So April, everything is good. Everything is great. It's positive. But in May, something happens that we didn't see coming. It's unforeseen, and it's like somebody has shot down our balloon, so to speak. If we are the balloon that is riding high, it's like somebody's just gone and popped that balloon, and we come back to reality. Very true, isn't it? But Frank next goes on to talk about it's up to us how we view that or how we let it change us. Let's go on.
But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June.
Okay. So, shot down in May. Maybe he's feeling a bit depressed. He's feeling down. But this next part, well, I know I'm going to change that tune. I'm not going to stay down in the dumps. I'm not going to let this get to me. Because he says in June, I'm going to be back on top. So let's think of the timeline. April, riding high. Everything was good. May, shot down. Something happened. He's down. But he's not going to let that get to him. He's going to be back on top in June. He's going to be riding high in June. And that's what that basically means, to be back on top. You're back on top of things, successful. So let's carry on.
I said that's life.
That's life.
And as funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream.
Okay, interesting part here. So he says, I said that's life. April's good, May's bad. I'm going to be back on top in June. That's the way life goes, isn't it? As much as we would all like it to be just one solid line up, that isn't reality. That's not life. We have good days, bad days, good months, bad months. And he says, well, as funny as it may seem, as strange as it might seem to us, as much as we can't understand it, some people get their kicks or feel happy about or are excited about, or some people get their thrills from doing what? Stomping on a dream. Hopefully there's not too many people like this in your life, but sometimes we meet people and they're happy when things don't work out for you. They like to stomp, which is the action of stomping with your feet. And if they're stomping on your dream, they're basically taking your dream and going, I'm going to crush that dream. People like that, we don't want them in our lives, of course. They're not our friends. But he said, as funny as it may seem, some people like to do that. Some people like to take your dream and they want to watch you fail. Or they want to be the one to crush it. But then Frank makes a statement next about these people, about that action.
But I don't let it get me down. 'Cause this fine old world, it keeps spinning around.
Okay, but I don't let it get me down. So you have these people, they want to bring him down. Isn't that true? Sometimes we meet people, they want to bring us down. But we have a choice. We can't control their actions. We can't control what they are doing, but we can control how it affects us. We can control how we feel. So Frank says, they're going to do that. They're going to try and get their kicks. They're going to try and get their thrills from stomping on my dream. I'm not going to let it get me down. I've got control of my feelings. I've got control of my actions. I'm not going to let that happen. Because this fine old world, it just keeps spinning around. That is a very true statement, isn't it? And in my opinion, what Frank was saying here was, no matter what happens, the world keeps on turning. Things might stop us in our tracks sometimes. We might be riding high one month and then poof, the world comes crashing around us. Or maybe it's not as serious as that. Something just happens and it affects us. The reality is the world just keeps on turning. Time doesn't stop. So we have a choice. Either we stay down, get upset, and then we let people kick us while we're down, or because the world just keeps on spinning, the world isn't going to wait for us, we don't let it get us down. That's life. These things happen. So then Frank talks about his experience. Now, I don't know why, but the lines aren't quite matching up with the music. So that's not me doing that. It's the program.
I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king.
I love this bit of this song. Now, do you remember before it spoke about his use of timing? Well, listen to the timing here. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. It's just absolutely brilliant. Ba-da-da, 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 ba-da-da. I don't know. My musical side's coming out there, but I just think it's genius. So he lays out his life here. I've been a puppet. A puppet is controlled by someone else, isn't it? Often you think of maybe Pinocchio. A puppet is controlled by someone else. So maybe that's what he's saying here. I've been a puppet. Maybe worked for a big corporation where they've controlled him. They've told him what to do. Maybe that's what it means. I've been a pauper. A pauper is an extremely poor person, destitute, void of any money. I've been a pirate. Probably meaning that he's been a bit of a scallywag in parts of his life. Pirates aren't known for their honesty, are they? They're not known for their best way of dealing with things. So maybe, well, we know that about Frank. Parts of his life, he had big affiliation with gangsters, mobsters. So he's probably done some things in his time that he's not too proud of. He's been a poet. Maybe he found his artistic side, did that. Been a pawn and a king. So pawn is if we think of a chessboard, pawn is the lowest piece, isn't it? They're vital. We need them. But a king and queen are the high pieces that you want to keep. So maybe he's saying here in society, I've been at the bottom, but I've been at the top. So I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. So he's been in every kind of social situation in his life, hasn't he? Again, this is all my opinion. So he's isolated that there. I've done everything. I've been in every situation. Let's carry on.
I've been up and down and over and out, and I know one thing.
Okay, I've been up. I've been down. I've been over and out. Basically saying here, he's had good times, he's had bad times, he's had times where he's had nothing, he's had times where he's had everything. So Frank here is just isolating, he's been in every single situation. Rich, poor, happy, sad, positive, depressed. He's been through it. Through his life, he's been through all of these situations. So here he's just highlighting that. But he says he knows one thing. Often wisdom comes with experience, doesn't it? He knows one thing. This is what he knows.
Each time I find myself flat on my face.
Each time I find myself flat on my face. It reminds me of a time that I've never been that good at sports. I like sports, but I would say I'm average. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those guys which is just really good at every sport. But I remember in each year at our school, we used to have, what was it called? Sports Day. And I always used to do the 400-meter race. That was what I was good at. So family and friends would come and watch. I remember after the start line, everyone ran off and I slipped on my laces and I literally fell flat on my face. Flat on my face. For some reason, though, I could have picked myself up. A little bit embarrassing, yeah, but you carry on running. I decided to stay down. I decided to stay flat on my face. And it really made the situation worse because then I was getting attention that I didn't want. Everyone was feeling sorry for me and I hated it. But that translates to life, doesn't it? Sometimes something happens and we just trip in life. We fall flat on our face. Maybe we lose our job. Something happens that, we didn't want to happen in life. We fall flat on our face. And isn't it true that we find ourselves in that position multiple times throughout life? But again, we have a choice when we fall flat on our face. Because remember, the world keeps spinning around. We can choose to stay there, or we can choose to do what Frank says next.
I pick myself up and get back in the race.
So he just picks himself up. We fall down. Frank says, I get back up. That's one thing I've learned. You get back up and get back in the race. Life is like a race sometimes, isn't it? You've just got to get back in the race. You pick yourself up. You might have fallen behind a little bit. That's true. There might be some ahead of you, but you pick the pace up again. And that's what Frank's saying. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. But throughout all of these experiences, the one thing I've learned is that when you fall down, you've got to get back up. Because he said,
That's life.
That's life.
I tell you, I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, baby.
okay. He said, because that's just life. I'll tell you, I can't deny it. We can't argue that sometimes we think of quitting. Isn't that true? I think Frank kind of really hones in on our human nature here, that there's all times that we just think, is it worth it? Should I keep on going? With whatever you're doing, sometimes you just think, oh, I've fallen over, I'm down. That thought of quitting sometimes comes over us, doesn't it? But I love what Frank says next.
But my heart just ain't gonna buy it.
So I had that thought of quitting. We can't deny that. We've all been in that situation. But for Frank, his heart won't let him do it. His mind's saying, quit, Frank. You've fallen over. But in his heart, he knows he's not going to give up. Because it's just life. These things happen in life. What can you do? These things happen. It's just the way it goes. Let's keep on singing. Keep on singing. Well, if you are singing, great. But let's keep on reading along.
And if I didn't think it was worth one single try, I'd jump right on a big bird and then I'd fly.
Okay. And if I didn't think it was worth a single try, and if I didn't think it was worth it, then I'd jump right on a big bird and then I'd fly. Maybe he's talking about a plane here and just get away. Or maybe he's talking metaphorically about dying. I don't know what he's really referring to here. But, basically the idea is of just, if I didn't think it was worth a try, then I'd just go away. I would just give up. But that one single try is worth staying for. And then he repeats the chorus from before. So let's just listen to this in its entirety.
I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. And I know one thing. Each time I find myself laying flat on my face, I just pick myself up and get back in the race.
Just on a musical note there, I love the way it just picks up. Boom, boom, boom. It really kind of gets you going, that enthusiasm. Things do get bad. It's okay. You just pick yourself up and get back in the race. The way it goes up really adds, in my opinion, to the emphasis. Because as Frank says,
That's life. That's life. And I can't deny it.
I just love the way there. He really kind of just plays into that. Can't really holds that note. And to emphasize that you can't deny it. You can't deny the next point here.
Many times I thought of cutting out, but my heart won't buy it.
Many times, he's thought of cutting out, quitting, leaving, giving up. But again, his heart won't buy it. April was good. May was bad. He's still in May, but June's going to be better. We don't know why he's fallen flat on his face, but he has. But he's got to pick himself up because his heart won't let him quit. His heart won't let him give up. But then he concludes with a very interesting point, which this one, I don't know, it kind of goes against everything in the rest of the song, in my opinion. But let's see.
But if there's nothing shaking come this here July, I'm gonna roll myself up in a big ball and die. My.
Let the drums play out the end there. So then he makes this statement. Well, if there's nothing shaking, if there's nothing happening, if things aren't picking up in June, if things aren't getting better, by July, I'm going to roll myself up in a big ball and die. Kind of goes against the rest of the song, but maybe that's just him getting to that point where he sometimes feels like quitting. I was thinking about this, that statement at the end, maybe that's just his head telling him, that's how you're going to feel in July. If things don't get better, you're going to roll up in a big ball and that's it. But would his heart at that point let him do it? He's been through so much already. He's been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. He's been all of that before, but his heart's never let him quit. So even if he feels this way in July, we know his heart's not going to let him quit. But there you go. So what an amazing song. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And to me, it really just denotes the fact that life has its ups and downs. Life has its good times, its bad times. But that's life. And there's a famous quote, I can't remember who said it, that said, "This too shall pass. This too shall pass." And it reminds me of that. Whether it's a good time, enjoy it, but appreciate it because it will pass. If it's a bad time, it might be difficult. It will pass. And it makes me think about that. That's life. That's just the way it is. Good times and bad times. That's life. But the only thing we sometimes can control is our emotions, how we react to certain situations. It's up to us. But yeah, very good. I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Music is a fantastic way of learning a language. If you would like me to continue with this series, please let me know of a song you would like me to consider. And I will do it. If you enjoy this series of classes, let me know of a song you would like me to consider. We'll break down the lyrics and I'll give you my opinion on what it means. But please don't underestimate the power of music with learning English. But also, we can just enjoy it. This is something a little bit different. So if you've got any favourite songs, look at the lyrics, listen along, try and truly understand what they mean. And you'll notice that sometimes, I've done this, you've been singing completely the wrong words. When you look the song up, you think, oh, I was singing that wrong. But also you see sentence structures, and good lyricists are poetic and trying to understand what they mean. Brilliant way of learning the English language. So, as I said, I hope you enjoyed this podcast today. If you are watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to follow me. Let me know in the comments what you'd like me to talk about next. Send me an email, GSL-English1, if you've got any questions. And if you would like to learn English every day with me, you can join the GSL English Club on Patreon. The link is in the description below. Here, I post lessons every day, but also you get access to these podcasts earlier in the week. So if you'd like to join, you can start your free trial using the link in the description. But thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll see you all soon. Have a good one, guys.